Hello friends, we are back here with the Fender Bassman 50 from the 70s, and we've got an order in for a bunch of parts, but in the meantime while we're waiting, because I don't want to wait forever to get working on this, we're going to go ahead and start by replacing all of these Mallory caps with 25 microfarad 50 volt mod caps here, because I have those on hand. So we're going to start from here and move our way down the board. And the first one is this 750 microfarad 3 volt cap, which is extremely unique. I'm not aware of any other amp that has a cap like that in it. I've never seen it before, and it's just kind of part of the quirky bass channel on this amplifier. This is not super relevant to guitar, not even really super relevant to bass necessarily. It's definitely overkill, 750 microfarad, and I'm going to start with the 25 microfarad 50 volt. This little guy here in this place, and we'll see how that sounds. And I do have 50 and 100 microfarad mod caps should we want to switch something else in there, but I think we're going to go ahead and start with the 25. So that's the plan. We got the soldering iron heating up here, and and then as we go along, in the last episode I kind of showed that there was some voltage on the board here, which was causing these disc caps to look like they were leaking. I didn't really measure, much leakage on the other capacitors as I moved down the board. However, that doesn't mean there isn't some. So I think what I'm going to do is kind of really let this soldering iron heat up the eyelets and just kind of clean out any of the gunk and the extra wax and whatnot around the edges, which might be holding some voltage. And there's also places such as right here where it's barely soldered. I can actually see a hole kind of around this wire where the solder was flowed, but not all the way. So we're going to kind of systematically go through and just reflow probably every eyelet as we go. But the main goal for tonight, for just kind of a quick little stopgap, is to replace all of these mod caps, replace all of these coupling caps with these mod caps. So let's go ahead and get this sucker out and swap it over. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of add a little bit of solder to the eyelet just to kind of get things flowing. These joints are untouched, so we just kind of want to get these, what do people say? Remind them that they're supposed to flow. Remind them that they're solder. Perfect. So now we can go ahead and hopefully lift these up fairly easily. Now I know this this kind of shielded or plastic covered wire is really fragile on these. So you can see from the factory there's already little burn marks on the edges of most of them. So I am going to try and be careful to not add to that, beyond what's already there. Cool. I was curious if this was going to be the lead going to the ground connection here, because I know that's with the blackface and maybe even the early silverface amps are like that, but the lead was going over, not under the board, so that's what made me think it wasn't this. So let's inspect this capacitor real quick. So again, this is a 750 microfarad 3 volt, and yeah, it looks perfectly fine. It tested fine, but these are, just as I understand it, they can just kind of fail. They're not known to be reliable, and the owner will have these in a baggie with, should he ever want to switch them back. But I think it's a good move to just replace all of those for peace of mind. So let's go ahead and just mock it up. Positive side would be going towards me over here on the tube side. And so we'll have it kind of just like that. So we'll kind of figure out our lead length that we want here. Mark roughly where I want the bends to be. The one nice thing about these mod caps is that the leads are very skinny, so they can easily fit in a very crowded eyelet. So that definitely makes it easier than something like an F&T, for example, that might be quite a bit thicker. just like that. Get a little bit of separation between it and the resistor, but that looks pretty good. And then now we're gonna go ahead and just add more solder. Let me push this ground wire in further as well. Perfect, so now we can go ahead and add in a lot more solder. And we'll do the same to this side. Lovely, and then you can see this whole like pool around it. That is just the wax melting and flux, of course, but also just what looks like the wax melting around the edges. So it kind of shows how the heat is kind of cleansing the area around the eyelet, which is what we want. So yeah, this isn't a job necessarily to clean everything and make it look perfectly pristine. You know, there's globs of wax here and whatnot. That would be a lot of work to do. But yeah, this will ensure that it functions much better. So there you go. We got the first cap in and everything looks good. So we can go ahead and move down the line and go for this one. So just like before, although we've got some more wires to dodge here, I'm going to try and just lift it up. So I'm looking at this cap right here, and this is actually a 5 microfarad 50 volt. I saw these were all, it was kind of blocked by the wire, and I didn't notice it because I've never seen, whenever you have two, you know, coupling caps side by side flanking, you know, resistors like this, it's always been two, you know, 25 microfarad, 25 volts, just like this is, and this is. Every other Fender amp I've worked on has been like that. So I didn't realize that this is a 5 microfarad 50 volt. And that's going to pin, let's see if I can read that. I think it's pin 8. Yeah, it's going to pin 8 of V1. Interesting. Okay. So I need to do some more research on that. So I'm going to leave that one in for right now. And then I will go ahead and take care of this in these two, because these three are all 25 microfarad, 25 volts. So something I missed happens. If you guys do hear crickets in the background, I apologize. Some crickets got into my garage and they're impossible to find. Oh, I got a little bug that just jumped in. What is going on here? Speaking of bugs, hello, sir. Maybe let's not get in the amp. What is going on here? Oh, there he is again. I'm sure he'll be gone by the time we actually fire this amp up again, because it's going to be a while, because I got to wait for parts. That's hilarious. This eyelet is just jam-packed. There we go. There's the Mallory, 25, 25, positive facing me. This lead, I think I will clean this eyelet out because it's just a mess, so much in there. You can see how it's totally just cleansing the area on the board around the eyelet. So in a way, we're killing two birds with one stone here. So it looks like there's not enough space in this eyelet to fit all that they need to fit, most likely. So they literally just had this little lead draped over like that instead of actually in the eyelet. I might be able to, because I don't know, the mod caps are smaller. They look smaller than these leads. So I think I actually will be able to fit everything in here, but we will need to remove the solder on this. There we go. And we'll trim this lead a little bit. Slow and steady with this kind of stuff. If you want it done right, and obviously you can just plop it in there and not care, but I want it to look pretty clean, which means I gotta take my time. Great, so something like that. So we can go ahead and solder this side in. And then this side we will not solder in because we got to figure out what we're doing with this 5 microfarad cap. All right, so I did a quick search on the retailers I use to buy parts for, and Mod does not seem to make a cap that's even close to 5 microfarad 50 volt. They do make some caps that are a bit closer to 5 than 25, including a 1 microfarad, but the voltage on the ones I saw was way too much, which means the cap is going to be physically quite a bit larger. So I think what we're going to do, and I looked also F&T. F&T does not make a cap that would fit here. So what I'm going to do is, again, swap in the 25 microfarad 50 volt into this spot, and then we'll just have to circle back and see if this is something that we might need to source some special capacitor for, if it's really critical that this is 5 versus 25. But I think it's going to be fine with the 25 microfarad 50 volt. So we're just going to go ahead and move forward under that assumption, because I don't see anything else out there that would lead me to believe that this is a common critical piece. But hey, we saw with this capacitor here, this amp has some weird components in it that are not typical. So I should not be surprised, I guess. There you see it, 5 microfarad 50 volt. Perfect. Awesome, that fit beautifully. Trying really hard to avoid burning this burning that white shield. I think I will have to go back and clean these leads and just kind of isopropyl over what's still here. Now the real question is, can we jam this in here? I'm just going to shorten this, I think. And this should be perfect, actually. Just like that. We can kind of lay it down with everything else. So in this eyelet, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leads in it. It's got to be a record, right? Cool. So that's done, that's done, that's done. Let's go ahead and move on over here. Again, pretty cramped, but that's okay. This one's going to be much harder to reach without burning anything. Let's see what I can do here. I think I just got to be super careful and stand up while I do this. Honestly, the easiest way to do it would be to just cut the lead, but I want to give the owner the option to have these reinstalled if he ever wants to. Man, there's no room here. Holy cow. There we go. Cool. We didn't touch any of the wires there. That one was tough. This is like a game operation. Don't touch the sides. Beautiful. All right, another 25 microfarad 50 volt. Really, honestly, one of the hardest parts for me about doing this kind of intricate soldering is the right hand, left hand coordination. You know, because I'm trying to, it's like a balance. I'm trying to coordinate between my right hand and my left hand, right? So I'm trying to shove this thing in this one little spot with my left hand while my right hand is trying to, you know, not burn anything and heat up the area. And it's honestly quite difficult. And I'm not happy with this. So the reason I'm not just cleaning out this eyelet completely is because it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leads in it. This is the 6th, and one of them is coming from above. And so that's going to be really tricky to hold in place without solder. So that's why I'm trying to do it without removing all the solder. I think it can be done. I'm just struggling a little bit. I'm going to shorten this lead even more. The eyelet is completely packed. So this one also has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 leads in it, and there was 0 room left. That was the absolute max. So this is the same thing, but more difficult because I've got this wire floating above. And then I've also got to dodge all of these, try not burn those. So we'll try it one more time, and then if I can't get it, then I will clean out the eyelet completely. So now I've given myself a little corner that I can squeeze this lead in, like so. I should have done that from the beginning. Now you know. Now I know. That's how you learn. There's just so many leads trying to be stuck in here. It's quite crowded, but that will work. And before I add solder to it, obviously we need to remove this one. So we're going to go ahead and try and do that here. All of that work to kind of try and keep this one from lifting out. And it's just easier to lift it out. So let's see if we can get this side in, or this side soldered all in first, and then we can circle back. There's all the leads in there. Let's go ahead and solder this one in. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and do this one. right, just got to get this bent over a little bit. No big deal. After everything else we just did, this is a piece of cake. Beautiful. All right, let's zoom out a little bit. Recap what we've done here. Now, again, I don't have a schematic for this amp because it doesn't exist. So I will be reviewing the photos and videos I took just to confirm everything is in the right place for every eyelet I touched. I was trying to just swap one component at a time. I don't know if you guys noticed that because I don't have, a layout to look at to confirm everything is correct. But we took out the 750 microfarad cap right here with a 2550. And then this was a 5 microfarad, and this was swapped to the 25. This is a 25 swapped to the 25. And then both of these were 25s swapped with 25s. And yeah, looks great. You can see, all of the kind of gunk that came out of the eyelets when I heated them up, which is not a bad thing. And now, really, all we got to do is swap a couple caps here, which I'm probably going to say, do I want to do that tonight? Yeah, I'm feeling frisky. Let's do it tonight. So we'll swap this cap right here, this 500 picofarad, and move over here and take this blue one out. And then I think I'll just hit all of the eyelets just to make sure that everything has a strong connection and kind of let it heat up the area to remove any moisture or anything that might cause voltage to be in the board. So that's the game plan. Now let's go ahead and remove this little guy without breaking the leads, which I know is really tough because these are fragile. So, and I've also got this wire right in my way. Nothing's easy. Give myself as much room as possible here. It's the theme of this amp in this video. Just not a lot of room, or rather, a lot of areas where things can go wrong because of not a lot of room. Like, where am I supposed to fit the tip of this without hitting anything, and also have a place to grab onto? There we go. All right. There we go. So that will be going on this side, and nothing will be going here to replace that. So we can just add more solder to these eyelets because there's nothing being changed. Perfect. So now we want to go ahead and remove this guy. There we go. Yeah, it's not terrible. It's not ideal. Trying my best here. I think that was kind of unavoidable, to be honest. And this one's going to be tough too. Jeez. There we go. All right, so this is the, looks like 0.01 600 volt. And that is just going into the pile to give to the owner. And then this is going to go in its place right here. I think I'm going to lift it. Do I want to float it or put it off to the side here? There's just not a lot of room. Well, we can go ahead and clean out the eyelet first. Probably lift this lead out. There we go. So if I can just get that in there, like so. Get this back in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leads in this one. But you got these massive leads off the 1 watt resistors, so there's very minimal room. There we go. Okay. Now we've got all of the leads in there, including this wire. And it is actually friction fit in there, so it's not going to move around. Now we can solder this back together. Wow, that was quite a lot of work. Now we just need to get this lead. So now I just got to make room in the eyelet for this lead, which it looks like there is enough room to make it happen. But it's going to be close, because of course it is. I'm just trying to make sure that it's actually in the eyelet. It is just a bit. It would be totally fine, and 99% of people I think would be totally fine with it. I just want to make sure it's really friction fit in there well. So that's why I'm taking all this extra time. All right, I think that will be good. Now it's got a mechanical connection, and obviously it'll be soldered. And it matches the factory with the other 500 picofarad lead going over that resistor. Cool. Wow, that was a lot of work. And I'm going to just add some solder to this eyelet that is missing some solder that I mentioned before. Let it kind of cook too. All right, so you can see we hit all of these with soldering iron. You can see kind of the little pools around them where the heat has kind of drawn out a lot of the gunk. These are just really gross and nasty looking with that wax, but I'm going to continue and go all the way through and make sure they all look nice and shiny like all of the new solder joints do, and make sure they're good to go for the long haul. But I will do that tomorrow because it's late, and we will, I think there's only one other thing we can do before the shipment comes in of parts. So TBD on if I do that in this video or the next one with all the parts. But if this is the end, thanks so much for watching. And if you guys are enjoying this kind of content, let me know in the comments. If you're not enjoying this kind of content, let me know in the comments. Let me know if there's anything you personally would like to see me do, or maybe even not do. Open to it. But yeah, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying kind of taking on some of these projects and learning as I go and kind of documenting the whole thing for you guys. So I hope you're enjoying it. Either way, until next time, I'll see you.